Hello and welcome to my kitchen. The first half of 2020 has seen a lot of folks spending more time in this room, gathering around, rediscovering relationships, learning to cook, and cooking up new ideas for life after the pandemic. If there is a silver lining amidst the suffering, it's that so many of us have dedicated time to reflection and decided they didn't like what they saw. Perhaps they were not appreciating life enough or felt they could be kinder to people in their lives. I know this is anecdotal, and the anecdote may be mine, but it is estimated that the 3 words "I love you" have been uttered nearly 500 million times in kitchens just like this one. Lives have changed while discussing our obligation to each other through illness and unrest. Fear has dropped away of admitting you're not doing so well, that your depression has deepened, or your fear of tomorrow has turned into panic. I'd wager the stigma of mental health has lessened appreciably as we contemplated our dependence on each other to pull through or to push another along. This isn't the first time a kitchen has catalyzed progress in the world of mental health. For that, we have to look at the founding of NAMI. In the late 1970s, small groups of family members nationwide began to gather around kitchen tables just like this one. At the time, doctors were using misguided and unscientific theories to blame mental illness on parents or whoever was raising or taking care of their children. NAMI was founded in Madison, Wisconsin in 1979 by 2 women who had sons diagnosed with schizophrenia and were tired of being blamed for their son's mental illness. Legend has it that kitchen discussions figured mightily in this genesis. My instinct has it that they came up with the perfect recipe.
Harriet Shetler and Beverly Young. This is a great story. These were 2 mothers from Wisconsin, Madison, Wisconsin. I knew them both well. They were on the board. They met in the waiting room at the Mendota State Hospital. Both of their sons were inpatient there and had been for years. And as was happening increasingly, their sons were being discharged, and the only care program was their family. So here these ladies were, and they met by accident in the waiting room, and they talked, and they connected, and they decided, there must be situations like this all over the country. So they wrote to state hospitals all over the country. Often those hospitals had auxiliaries for families. Little clubs for families who would meet there. And so that's how they got the word out about the very first NAMI gathering, which happened in Madison, Wisconsin.
Harriet Shetler and I were visiting one day and talking about these wonderful people that were involved in my correspondence. And Harriet said, well, let's do a national meeting. And I said, well, okay, let's do a national meeting. And it was really that simple.
There was a carload of Minnesotans who drove to Madison and were very excited about forming a national movement. And one of the things that they reminded me is that we didn't have the internet back then, right? We didn't have social media. We didn't have emails. And so how these, moms and dads and people with mental illnesses found each other, you really have to think back. It's really quite incredible that they were able to connect from across the country without email, without social media, without the internet.
250 people came from all over the country. Mostly we were parents. They were mostly parents. And we had a panel. I was one of the panelists. And the question I asked the audience, I said, how many of your sons and daughters have ended up in jail? And a field of hands went up in the audience. When the panel was over, a young man from the National Institute of Health came over to me and he said, we had no idea. We had no idea. And they gave us $75,000 to hold the convention the next year here in Seattle. And that's really how we began.
NAMI, of course, was created as a family-driven movement. And it was created as a movement of families of people with serious mental illnesses many of whom were pretty much ignored by the system that was supposed to be treating them. And it was at a time when families were still being blamed for conditions like schizophrenia. There was actually a term used, schizophrenogenic mother, which was basically blaming schizophrenia on overbearing parenting. That is a theory that very thankfully has been completely debunked in the years since.
Think about it. The key quality for research is resilience. We search, and if we don't find, we search again, each time redoubling our passion and building the strength of our process. Research is paramount in the understanding and the treating of mental illness. In many ways, we know even less about causes, treatments, and cures than we might say for replacing a valve in a damaged heart. That means we will inevitably encounter more dead ends, more wild goose chases, more journeys to progress that feel like Sisyphus, the Greek mythological figure, who was always rolling a boulder up a hill, and then the boulder would roll down to the bottom every time before he could reach the top. It's frustrating and fraught with intellectual dangers, but in the end, the folks who adopt science and research as their life's work are the real heroes in mental illness. There have been many breakthroughs in science driven by the care, love, and advocacy of families, our NAMI families. And I'm confident even larger breakthroughs are not far away.
NAMI's history with research starts with parents who had the resilience to fight for better scientific understanding of serious mental illnesses. This was at a time that they were being blamed by scientists for inadequate parenting.
Embracing research and then promoting aggressively and successfully the return of the National Institute of Mental Health back under the umbrella of the NIH. It was separate and not equal for decades. And we kept saying, let's put the brain back with the body.
The decade of the brain, the 1990s, was the beginning of the understanding that there was a serious biological component to this. NAMI advocated to double the NIMH budget, but also helped NIMH see the essential aspect of pursuing biological roots to serious mental illnesses. This is something we can be very proud of, and this legacy lasts today.
The dictionary says an advocate is a person who pleads on someone else's behalf. I'd have to say that pretty well describes NAMI. We plead for what people need. We power change through advocacy. You'll find advocacy in every NAMI time capsule. In 1979, mental health advocates from across the country founded NAMI to influence federal, state, and local legislation and increase research for serious mental illness. We have led the fight for parity, which is where mental illnesses are treated and covered like any other medical disease. We have worked tirelessly over the years to make sure no one gets the door slammed in their face who needs mental health care.
There is no single city in the United States that has done a good job of delivering services for the seriously mentally ill.
Dr. E. Fuller Torrey. Without Dr. Torrey, there wouldn't be a NAMI. He published his book, Surviving Schizophrenia, a Family Manual. He went all over the country at no cost to NAMI, speaking about the fact that families needed help and that these individuals with schizophrenia and bipolar disorder had been abandoned by the medical profession.
The power of NAMI is the work of its grassroots, and NAMI members around the country gathered signatures on petitions calling for the doubling of research at NIMH, research on serious mental illness. And they gathered, believe it or not, almost 500,000 signatures. And all of those were sent to the NAMI office, and we rented a truck, drove it up to Capitol Hill, unloaded those petitions on the top step of the Capitol, and held a press conference with Senator Pete Domenici, a great champion of NAMI for many, many years, and the great actress Patty Duke, who had, of course, come out and talked about her own bipolar disorder.
Thank you for allowing me to address you in the Senate today on behalf of the National Alliance for the Mentally Ill.
I'll never forget how wide the eyes were of the staffers when they saw us coming in there with these scores and scores of signatures. And it was really very, very effective because we were able to double the funding for NIMH just that year. It went from, at the time, $250 million to $500 million. Now it's $4 billion, but at the time that was a huge increase and the largest by far increase that NIMH had ever gotten.
During a NAMI conference in Washington, D.C., they had arranged for us to actually go to Capitol Hill and speak to legislators from our respective states to support the legislation for the Healthcare Parity Act, which made it where a person with a mental health challenge didn't just get 3 visits a year in their healthcare plan, that it would be like any other illness. You know, they don't tell you if you have cancer, you can only have 3 visits. So that would have made the difference in so many people's lives. And this was peers and family members and supporters of NAMI walking together. And when we got to do that, it was just an overwhelming feeling walking up those Capitol steps and people turning around and asking, who were we? And when that bill was finally passed, I mean, we were way back home and it took several more months for that vote to take place. But when it happened, it was just the most empowering feeling ever. And it made me know that, hey, we can do this again on some other law that can help and support individuals living with mental illness, that it does work, that advocacy does work.
In 1988 in Memphis, there were 2 African-American young men shot and killed by the police, both of whom had mental illnesses. And that led to protests. There were strong protests within the African-American community and within the civil rights community in general in Memphis. And 2 NAMI members, very wise NAMI members, Helen Adamo and Ann Dino, came and met with the police chief and said, we have an idea for you. Many of the people who have been killed are people who've been experiencing mental health crises, and we know a better way. There is a better way to respond to people so that you can address the crisis and hopefully get people into treatment instead of arresting them and bringing them to jail. The police chief thought that was a good idea, and he assigned a young lieutenant the task of creating this program. The young lieutenant's name was Charles Sam Cochran. And Sam Cochran has done more to promote and facilitate the creation of CIT programs around the country than anyone. CIT stands for Crisis Intervention Team programs. And today there are more than 3,000 CIT programs around the country, and that is a direct testimony to not only to the wisdom of the 2 NAMI mothers, Ann Dino and Helen Adamo, but more than anything, the passion of Sam Cochran. He is deservedly one of the most beloved NAMI members in the country.
The major factor that we had in common with all of the other African American families who came to us was that 90% of the families, no matter where they lived, all had a loved one who had gone through the criminal justice system. This was the most appalling thing to me personally ever. Mentally ill people should never, ever be put in jail. It's hard enough to have a diagnosable mental illness, but the jail experience in and of itself layers on so many other things, especially PTSD. So aside from our teaching the family-to-family classes and the importance of educating our communities about mental illness, signs, symptoms, and how to treat and take care of loved ones, we also had to learn about the criminal justice system. I had to hit the ground running time after time to learn the legal system, who to call, showing up in court for people, helping families bail their loved ones out of jail. It was just a horrendous experience. But out of it, I was really proud that a group of parents from other chapters came together in 2004, and we started the first criminal justice committee in the county of Los Angeles. And that morphed into a training program that we did at the Twin Towers jail for the sheriffs who were caring for our loved ones.
It's amazing to me that our wide array of NAMI education and support programs offered today came directly from the needs of those families who were once blamed for the struggles their loved ones faced. Families needed a better way to understand what was happening to them and a more powerful way to fight the stigma that forced so many of them into silence. NAMI soon realized that the path forward was to ask families to teach other families. Peer support was gaining public attention at the time, fueled by the visible success of other peer-driven programs. Dr. Joyce Berlin, the sole mother of NAMI's educational programs, wrote a multi-week course that she hoped would change hearts and minds. She felt people needed that much time to absorb the science and feel the compassionate, helpful perspectives we wanted to share. And of course, she hoped they would form strong connections with one another. That was back in the formative era of NAMI. And since then, the idea of family to family and peer-to-peer programs have taken off.
Joyce Berlin said once that NAMI programs change lives while we wait on the world to change. So in other words, we can't fix the systems overnight. We can't fix what we don't know about the science of the brain overnight. But what we can do is help people who are living through all of these experiences understand what they're going through, develop a community of support, and that's where the real beauty of having the programs taught by others with the same lived experience. There's always somebody who's doing better than I am, and always somebody who's doing a little bit worse. But we're all learning from each other in the classes and in the groups.
What I heard most about what family to family member is were families telling me it had changed their life because they had become aware of the heroism of their loved family member, because they now understood the burdens and the challenges of mental illness in a way that they had not done before.
Have you ever noticed that some people lower their voice when they're talking about a controversial subject? As if they're concerned that someone will hear them and hold them accountable for a breach in decorum. Well, we believe in the opposite at NAMI. When there's a story to be told involving mental health, tell it loud, tell it proud. It's a good deed to go public with your story, not only for the connection it establishes with others in the same boat, but to scrape away the paint that colors the stigma. Imagine someone whispering about their toothache or their broken leg. The bottom line is one of the key tenets of making history has been hearing your stories. With the addition of peer and lived experience, NAMI has been able to give people with a mental health condition a seat at the table. And I'm not talking about the kitchen table either.
So I first found NAMI when I was 18 years old and had just gone through a psychiatric hospitalization during my freshman year of college. And NAMI Sacramento, my local affiliate, was the first NAMI door that opened for me, where I began taking peer-to-peer classes and learning about mental health through my own personal experience of having gone through crisis. That was the first step to beginning recovery and to learning about mental health through my own personal story and my family learning about mental health and mental illness and what resources and what programs were out there that could help me get back on track and help me get back into college and pursuing my dreams.
The importance of peer-to-peer are a couple of things, but let me just make it real simple. Nobody wants to know that the experience they're going through is that they're going through it alone, or that somehow nobody could possibly understand what you're going through. So the power of meeting someone who has a mental health condition that's similar to yours, has had this life journey, that's the power of peer-to-peer. Knowing that you're not alone, just as family members are not alone either in knowing that there are other family members or parents of young adults or young children who are going through that similar experience. That's the power of peer-to-peer.
When movements hit their stride, more and more people with great visibility and influence have stepped out to say that she, he, or they too has a mental health issue, and that NAMI was the place to go to lend influences and support. With each famous voice, we are able to advance from purely word of mouth to amplifying the word until people hear it. Beyond the halls of Congress, beyond the labs of science, we are fostering a powerful, continuous public conversation to drive awareness forward.
There really wasn't anything in the media that talked about mental illness in a positive way or even a realistic way. Well, in the late 80s, we were fortunate because there were a number of movies and made-for-TV movies and talk shows that started to feature mental illness as a topic. And I remember some times where we got incredible response from the general public. Now remember, there was no internet then. We had created a helpline and we had an address, and people could actually wrote to us seeking information. I remember when we were on, I believe it was the Phil Donahue show, that the lines on 2 different occasions became so jammed that it shut the system down.
For over 20 years, the helpline has been in existence. We've been fortunate to have lots of people, influencers, celebrities, movie stars promote the fact that we are there, we are available. And the beauty is people reach out and they connect with us. They actually pick up the phone and speak to us. And it's those conversations, those opportunities where we're really able to help people. It's an amazing thing that we do that happens every day at the helpline.
As we wrap up, I wanted to mention that there are so many things that speak to the heart of NAMI, and I'll leave you with 2 that speak to my heart. Mental health caring creates the best mental health care. And tell your story, and you will rewrite the stories of others. Whether you've been with us for 40 years or you are new to the NAMI family, please join me in wishing NAMI a happy 40th anniversary. Thank you for attending and be well.
Happy 40th anniversary, NAMI.
Happy birthday, NAMI. I am privileged to know you.
I wish NAMI a happy 40th birthday as they continue to do the great work that they've already been doing into improving the lives of millions around the country.
Happy 40th anniversary, NAMI, from Eugene, Oregon.
Happy 40th anniversary to NAMI all over the country.
My name is ELEANOR OWEN. I am a founder of NAMI. I'm 98 going on 99, and I wish NAMI a very happy 40th anniversary.
From NAMI Southern Nevada, I just want to say happy 40th anniversary to NAMI.
Feliz cumpleaños, NAMI!
My name is Matt, and I'm from NAMI, New York City. And my wish for NAMI's 40th anniversary is a world where stigma no longer gets in the way of people affected by mental illness getting the help and support that they need and deserve.
We want to wish National Alliance on Mental Illness a happy and blessed 40th birthday!
We wish NAMI a very happy 40th birthday!
Yay!
Wishing NAMI a happy 40th anniversary! Woo!